Pow, pow, pow.
Pow, pow. Pow. Are we live?
We are live. Good morning, everybody. It's Rachel Tipton and
Gina Trimarco.
Women Your Mother Warned You About. And boy, we are fired up today.
We are fired up. We are like, woo! Wait, I'm turning off my phone because you know how that goes. Hold on.
Yes.
Okay. All right. There we go.
Well, mind you, yesterday, apparently in our pre-live call, we both were like, hot messes yesterday emotionally. And so then the flip side is today we're awesome.
Yay! You know what I love about you? Well, I love a lot of things. But at the moment, what I love about you is when you're like, yesterday you were texting me and I was giving you one-word answers and you're like, I felt like something was up. And it was mostly because I went for a walk, but I went for a walk because I was stressed. And that, as we learned from Anthony Iannarino, that is a form of meditation, is walking. So you know me. You get me. You complete me. You look fabulous today.
Thank you. You do too with your red lipstick, girl. Look,
well,
I've learned a trick.
Red lipstick.
Can you see it?
Red lips. What's that? What trick? Oh, I see your trick. Yeah, it's cute. Quickie tip time.
Ooh. I can turn it on and off too. I can turn you on. I can turn you off.
You never turn me off. But anyway, this is Quickie tip time, which we are trying to make a Wednesday like hump day. Who wants a good hump? Who wants a good quickie? Today is the day we do our little quickie tip time, is just kind of an appetizer for tomorrow's episode that is launching, which is super exciting. Tomorrow we're talking about mentorship, mentoring the buyer's journey versus coaching and the differences. And it's not just about sales, but it's about having a mentor, having a coach. What's the difference? It's Keith Walter's debut episode. That's what Keith said.
Great. You know what? He's kind of an enigma because he's not on Facebook, which is interesting. I used to have suspicions about people like that weren't on Facebook, but now I'm like, there's something to that. There's people, they're probably very productive.
Oh, wait. He's on Facebook. He's like a stealth. Like he's like a ninja. He's on Facebook in other ways. You just can't find him, but he can find you.
Interesting.
So believe it or not, he's probably watching this right now.
Good. Hi, Keith.
Hey, Keith.
Anyway, he's super brilliant and fun, and it's really great since Gina and I love men. We love having a male perspective, and we also love that so many men, we called this podcast Women Your Mother Warned You About. But what's interesting is there's so many men that want to be involved and they want to be a part of it and they want to chime in, and we're up to that.
Yeah, I met with someone yesterday. I went on a face-to-face sales call in the real estate industry, and I was telling him about this podcast, and his first reaction was like, "Why is it women in sales? Why just women?" And I really wanted to say, come on, like there are less women in sales, and we talk about that with Anthony. That's on that episode next week. I said, well, we got a guy who chimes in. And he's like, yeah, well, what kind of guy? Is he smart enough? I go, oh, you have no idea.
Yes, the smart enough box is checked with Keith Walters.
Yeah, it's like triple checked. So anyway, quickie tip time.
Quickie tip time. Look,
you want to go first with what your quickie tips are for the week?
Sure. I would be happy to go first, Gina. My tip, it coincides with the message that I posted this morning on, hey, Vesta. Hey, thanks for joining us. It coincides with the message that I posted on my Facebook wall today, which is know your worth. And, we talk a lot about sales on our podcast, but also originally one of the reasons that Gina and I thought of this concept was to help empower women and, also men, because I think everyone needs empowered. You can be rolling along in your life, you're doing your thing, you're doing your best, and you might suddenly run into a day like I had yesterday where somebody comes along and makes you to feel like you are worth less than you know that you are. That's good way to say it. Or, maybe I was just vulnerable yesterday and felt that from this moment. But, and as Gina mentioned, sometimes it's not necessarily something that happens, but just where you're at in your life, where you feel a little bit less than. And we forget when we're feeling a little less than, all the things we've been through and overcome, all of the amazing things that we are already, and all of the amazing things that we are meant for. So if you are having a day, or you are having a week, or you're having a year that's just not going the way you want, just remember, know your worth. And whatever you're going through, this is taking you to where you're meant to be and who you're meant to be. And don't forget that you are valuable, you are important, and if you're doing your best, then you are effing valuable. See how I censored that?
Although our podcasts are now marked explicit in case we swear.
You know what? I think Gittimer used the F-bomb on one of his lives, so I should have just gone for it. But anyways, so know your worth, and in sales as well. If you're pitching yourself and you're pitching your value proposition, don't let someone, just because they're going to have objections. Like, everyone hates to be parted with their money, right, Gina? Like, so most of the time they're going to say no at first, unless you just have a great pitch, and that's okay. So even if they say no at first, then you just haven't shown your value and shown your worth yet.
Well, it's interesting because I mentioned to you earlier, I met with someone yesterday. I went on a sales call face to face. Yes, that's a thing. People do that. And and one of the things we talked about was some of the challenges in his own organization and how we as a sales training company could help him in that. And we talked about that he kept trying to preach to his own team the importance of constantly touching customers, right? Having touch points and continuously going back. And so I've been working through my prospect list of people who have said no, not now. And he was one of them. And I finally actually got a meeting with him face to face in his office. Last year's meeting was over the phone. Finally, I get the next step. Again, I always believe that this is like dating. Mm-hmm. And he said, I need anyone who wants to work with me needs to reach out to me 6 times. Like, I need to know that you're so interested in working with me that you're going to touch me 6 times. And so that goes back to that whole value thing. In those 6 points, you can continue to show value where people are like, oh gosh, you know what? She does know what she's talking about. I'm ready to now work with her. So that goes really hand in hand with what you're talking about.
Totally. And we all go up and down. Like, that's, I think, is part of life. I don't think anybody who's always up is just putting on a good act. Like, everybody has days when something happens, or they just are down or frustrated, or things aren't going well. And how I dealt with my day yesterday that went sideways? I got up extra early this morning and I watched a good handful of great videos from one of my mentors who's in my coaching program, Tom Ferry. I just watched some like ass kicking, like put on your big girl panties and go out and do the tasks that need done to get your business in order kind of videos. So there's endless amounts of that out there online.
And constantly remind yourself of what your value is. I was telling someone yesterday, when it's a slow time and I'm not doing what I do so well, which is training and speaking, I start to not feel so great about myself because I'm out of practice with what I'm doing. And that can really kind of start to bring you down.
Yep.
So you have to stay practiced, which is great because with this podcast, I get to stay practiced when I'm not out in the field.
Yep.
So you want to hear my quickie tip time?
Yes.
So it's like story time. I am borrowing one of our actual sexy tips, which, by the way, we do have an ebook that you can download for free. If you go to womenyourmotherwarnedyouabout.com, a little box pops up and you can fill it out and download our ebook, which is 10 sexy tips to sales. And I'm borrowing from the Performing for Retention and Referrals, because it's all about performance. You and I both come from performer backgrounds on stage and in sales. You're on stage. And I have a tale. It's the tale of 2 vendors. Story time. The tale of 2 vendors. So I once again had to fire a vendor.
Mm,
I think she pushed me to the point to fire her, because she wasn't delivering, but she wasn't delivering on her contract. She wasn't delivering on her proposal. She wasn't delivering as a human being. She wasn't willing to even get on the phone with me to talk things out because her personality type was one of those avoid conflict situations. I'll just send you an email. She even wrote me an email that said, for all work orders, please send everything in writing going forward. I'm not getting on the phone with you. And all that do is make me more hostile. She even sent me a portion of the contract that said at any time either party can get out of this contract if it's not working out. So I took that as a message. I'm like, take it, she wants out. And she still hasn't delivered on what she said she would deliver on. And I'm like, I finally just gave up because I was so frustrated. And this is important stuff. And I'm not going to name names, but it's in the accounting realm. And accounting is important and bookkeeping is important. And I suck at it. And that's why I hire people to do that. And you should be able to do the job that you said. Even at one point when I asked where I was looking for certain things that were supposed to happen, she said, oh, that's not in the scope of work in your contract. Bad answer. Number one. Okay, well, obviously it's a need, first of all. So maybe we should have this discussion and you should provide me with that service. But worse than that, I actually went back to her original proposal and found that in the proposal, it said that that was included in the scope of work.
Whoops.
And then I was pissed because it wasn't in the contract, but it was in the proposal. Shame on me. I didn't read properly because I trusted her because she created a no-like trust with me. And then the proposal was missing it. Well, at that point, fess up and go, my bad. Which she did eventually, but it was a constant fight to get to that point. Long story short, she's not performing for retention and she is not performing for referral. She is definitely performing for some bad reviews is what she's performing for.
Whoops.
Then there was another vendor who we mutually agreed that it wasn't the best for their company to be working on a project of ours. And it was all good because we're like, you know what? Yeah, this probably doesn't make sense. This probably isn't the best thing for your wheelhouse. And we love each other and we want to have a good relationship. So let's just move it to another vendor. Will you help with that? And 100% class act company in helping us transition to another company. I mean, there's still a vendor. We just gave away a piece of work to another vendor instead of having them do multiple things, right? So again, know your value, know where you are, what you're best at as a company providing a service. Maybe you're offering too many things that maybe you're not great at. Some you're really good, some you're like, and you're going to add that as a piece of business, but maybe you shouldn't. So know where you should not be involved, know how to get out of things amicably. So tailor to vendors. One of them performs for retention and referrals, and I will refer them all day long and we will still work with them. The other one, going to the curb. So that's my quickie tip. You can find that description on performing for retention in our quickie tip ebook, again, on our website at womenyourmotherwarnsyouabout.com. Go ahead and download that. That's my quickie tip for the week.
Yay. And as Gina mentioned, we are releasing the next episode of our podcast tomorrow. So you can grab that and go back and listen to all the existing podcasts at womenyourmotherwarnsyouabout.com. We would love to get you guys to download and listen and review. We love a good review. B,
we need your reviews. That helps us get found.
Yay. And we want to be found. And
we are lost and want to be found.
Oh,
sorry,
man,
I didn't mean to cut you off.
This is B, right?
You're on B, yeah.
B, we want to know what you want to hear about. We always are coming up with, we're always, Gina and I are always texting back and forth of like, oh, this should be an episode, or, oh, this conversation should be an episode. But we also, most importantly, we want to give you guys what you want to hear about, whether it be like, the best bra to wear or or the best sales tip to use. We want to know, what are you struggling with? What can we help with? We've got tons and tons of resources that we can bring in if we aren't really an expert on that subject. And every time we have an interesting guest like Anthony
Reno, he's coming on next week. How exciting.
Yeah, like we learn so much, and you guys will too if you listen. So leave a comment anywhere and everywhere on our website, on our Facebook page, or also in your review so that we can see what you want to hear about.
And special love and shout out to the Seller Die Network. I know Jen Gluckow loves it when I hold up the coffee cup. You don't have one. You need to come to Charlotte and go to their office and get one. They will give it to you. They will go through their swag closet and give you all kinds of things.
Well, we talked about scheduling that, Gina. We need to follow up on a little Charlotte trip.
I know they are so busy. That Seller Die. Yeah, I mean, Jeffrey Gittimer and Jen are very busy, so I haven't been able to lock them down into a date, but we will.
We could just crash the office one day.
We could. Doug would let us do that.
I'd at least crash for a mug.
Doug, we need a mug.
Doug, I read your book. I need a mug.
No, Doug didn't write the book.
Not Gittimer's book? No, not Doug. Sorry, Doug. Jeffrey, I read your book. Sorry, I'm terrible with names sometimes.
Hey, speaking of books, before we go, I want to put this on blast because I know we're longer than our 10-minute quickie time, but I'm putting this out there because I want you to hold me accountable on this stupid book. It's not stupid. The book that's supposed to get written. I did get rejected by another agent this week. And you got to remember, rejection is not rejection. Rejection is, and even this agent said, I'm subjective. I'm not interested in your book because this is subjective. And at first it stung. And then I realized there are people that would be interested. And then you gave me a great pep talk this morning on like what I should be writing. And like, I was like, duh. And then Gittimer had mentioned that weeks ago of like, Gina's going to write a book about creativity and doesn't know it yet. So I'm actually going to lean on him for advice. Yep.
Well, and honestly, I wrote a book, you can find it, The Gift of Wreckage on Amazon. And, I was writing it. And the thing about writing a book, everybody's got a story. And Gina, as I was saying to her this morning, has got amazing stories, like fascinating killer stories. And it's just a matter of getting started and following through. And then when I was in the midst of writing my book, once I got started, I just was futzing around with it. And then I read one of Grant Cardone's books. I think it was 10X, that he said, if you're writing a book, just write the fucking book. And then if it sucks, then write another one. Whoops, I didn't censor myself that time, but like, just write it and put it out there. And if it sucks, then the next time you do it, it'll be better. But your book's not going to suck, Gina. It's going to be good.
Well, I love you for that. And that's how, I finally pulled the trigger on our first online video course, Spontaneous Selling 1.0, which you helped me on. Several people have helped me on. And thank you. And that was another one where I was dragging my tail. We're going to do a whole episode on procrastination. But I finally got all the elements done and handed it off. And hopefully Sue White, who's been waiting for me, is listening to this because she's going to take it over from here. But just do it. Just do whatever you got to do and not worry about it. And I know that video series is not perfect.
Done to me. Perfect.
But it's not perfect to me. That doesn't mean it's not perfect to others. So boom. I love having Quickie Tip Time with you on Facebook Live.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for stopping by. And I've got to go because I have a meeting with my coach.
All right, you go do your thing. I'll go do my thing. Everybody go do your thing and make sure you listen to our newest episode this week, which airs tomorrow, Thursday, January 31st.
Thanks for stopping by.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye.